Not long ago, I read an online conversation about the song, "Mary, Did You Know?" The song asks Mary, the mother of Jesus, if she was aware Jesus was going to be everything he turned out to be. The song wonders if Mary knew that Jesus would heal people, walk on water, and ultimately be the Redeemer of all humankind. Now, the majority of the people in the conversation expressed their intense dislike for the song, saying, and I quote, "Of course she knew!" And some of it was in caps, just like that. "After all, the angel told her all of this," unquote. Well, this was a conversation I decided not to join. And I will admit, often when things are going theologically astray online, I try to join in and provide another perspective, usually to no avail, but I feel better doing it. But I decided not to join this particular conversation because it was a group that didn't seem open to the idea that Mary may have had different expectations for a Messiah than most of us commonly believe. Presenting Mary as a completely human young woman who said yes to an angel because it was, after all, an angel had not really occurred to most of the people on this particular post. So that conversation did get me wondering if Mary had any idea what she was saying yes to when she said yes to the angel of God. Because the idea of a Messiah in the first century took several forms. The idea of a Messiah said it might be the anointed one of God who would come to be the new king of Israel, who would set the nation free from Roman rule. That Messiah might be the new King David, a king who would rule Israel, but who would have prophets to keep him in line with what God wanted and expected him to do. The Messiah might be a new high priest who would decide not to cooperate with Rome. A Messiah could take many forms. Now, Luke's gospel indicates that Mary agreed to give birth to a Messiah who would replace the Roman emperor as the Son of the Most High, because that's what the Roman emperor called himself. And that Messiah would become the new king for an independent Israel. The child would be a divinely anointed Son of God, for only a divinely anointed Son of God could rid Israel of Rome. And only an anointed Son of God could rule Israel with the justice and peace and compassion that would be needed. And frankly, what mother would not want a son who would one day be God's anointed king? I mean, that was a really big deal. And her life as a young peasant girl in Nazareth would suddenly turn into a really glitzy life in Jerusalem. Yeah, she said yes. In Luke's gospel, which, by the way, is the only gospel in which Mary is approached by an angel, and the only gospel that claims Mary was a virgin, which the prophet Isaiah did not. But that's the only gospel where Mary's approached by an angel, and that's the only one to whom she said yes. Sorry, I got lost there. She said yes to the child, the Son of God, that she was asked to say yes to. But that's not the child she got. She expected a king, an anointed one of Israel, who would be the Son of the Most High. What she got was a Jesus who worked miracles, healed the sick, fed the hungry, calmed the waters, and eventually died on a cross. And she had absolutely no expectation that any of that was going to happen, or that this son who died on a cross would be raised from death. That's not at all what she agreed to, because when she said yes, the angel had not shared the fine print. So I wonder if Mary had known what kind of Messiah Jesus was going to be. And if she had known, would she have agreed so readily to be the mother of that Messiah? I mean, would any of us easily agree to say yes to a life that involved that kind of joy, pain, loss, anxiety, and sacrifice? Even if we knew it was all going to turn turn out okay in the end, that our child would die a horrible death on a cross, but would return to life and then return to heaven, would any of us have said yes so readily and so easily? Would we say yes if the angel insisted we read the fine print? My guess is many of us, after reading everything involved in raising that kind of baby, would have said, oh no. But we're Midwesterners, so we would have probably said, well, God, I'd rather not. But you can call on me if I'm absolutely, completely the last resort. All the while thinking, please God, find somebody else, please God, find somebody else, please God, find somebody else. We would say no. We might say, and I think that because most of us say no to God when the request is not all that difficult. We say no to God most of the time because, let's face it, when we say yes to God, it invariably means experiencing something new in our lives. And that involves change. When we say yes to God or to an angel of God, we are saying yes to the anxiety and the stress that comes with experiencing new things and all the changes that new things bring. And let's face it, saying yes to God always involves a sacrifice of some sort. And saying yes to God usually involves the possibility of failure and all of the ramifications that come with failing. Saying yes to God means giving up giving up control of a portion of our lives. Saying yes to God means saying yes to giving up control over the outcomes of what we're saying yes to. Saying yes to God often means going places and doing things we simply had not planned on going or doing. At least that's what it meant for Mary. And if it meant that for Mary, it probably means that for us. So when we say yes to Christmas, which most of us are doing with great joy, we're not really celebrating saying yes to God. What we are celebrating is the fact that other people long ago said yes to God. We're experiencing the hope and the peace and the love and the joy of Christmas because other people long ago said yes to God. Other people long ago said yes even when they were not quite sure what they were saying yes to. Other people long ago bore the burden of loss and anxiety as well as the sorrow and pain that went along with saying yes. Other people experienced the surprise of new life and resurrection. And frankly, who of us would want to be first for that? Who of us would want to be the first ones going to a tomb to prepare our son or our child for burial because it had been cut short by the Sabbath, and only to discover that, oh my golly, that child had been raised from death? At one point we'd be pretty happy, but who wants to be the first for that? I wouldn't. Other people said yes, so that we today can celebrate the assurance of new life and resurrection. Christmas is a time for celebrating because God came to live with us as the human man Jesus. And Jesus came to set us free from all of those things that hold us back from growing closer to God and to God's kingdom on earth. Jesus came to show us that we can experience new life when we say yes to Jesus and turn away from sin. And best of all, Jesus came to reconcile us with God, to close the gaps between who we are and who God expects us and wants us to be. And Jesus came to let us know that there's life beyond this one. And those are all good reasons to celebrate Christmas. But frankly, Jesus came to do more. Jesus didn't want to settle for us celebrating what other people said yes to long ago. Jesus came to invite us to say yes. To say yes to God, to say yes to the way of life that comes from following Jesus. Because saying yes to God today means saying yes to the same way of life people said yes to long ago. Saying yes to God today means saying yes to Jesus and his way of life. And that means saying yes without getting to read the fine print. like Mary, we say yes without knowing exactly what we're saying yes to. Because like Mary, saying yes to God will take us places we did not plan on going and ask us to do things we did not plan to do. Like Jesus' mother, brothers and sisters, and first followers, saying yes to Jesus means we will experience life in new ways. We will experience the joy and the sorrow that comes from following Jesus' way. We will find ourselves often unwillingly sacrificing and willingly sacrificing our time, our abilities, and our resources so others around us and in our communities are fed, sheltered, cared for, and loved. We will find ourselves feeling the pain others feel while celebrating the happiness others celebrate. Saying yes to Christmas, which most of us are pretty eager to do after all. It's a pretty nice day. Presents, food, contact with families, even if it's not in person. It's a pretty nice day. Saying yes to Christmas means saying yes to Jesus and the love and the compassion and the justice he taught and he lived. We say yes to the possibility of suffering the rejection Jesus met when he challenged the Roman Empire and those who supported it with his justice and his care and his love and his compassion. When we say yes to God, Jesus, and Christmas, most of us say yes without ever reading the fine print. After all, most of us said yes when we were baptized when we weren't really aware of what was going on. And we said yes when we were confirmed, and when we're in 8th grade, who knows what the rest of life is going to bring. We think it's all going to be wonderful. After all, we get to be grown up. Yeah, look how that turns out. We say yes even when we don't really know where the yes is going to take us. And we become like Mary, who said yes without really knowing where that yes was going to take her. And the good news is saying yes to Christmas, saying yes to an angel of God, saying yes to Jesus, saying yes to God, comes with some pretty unique blessings because, like Mary, we'll be saying yes to making our world a little bit more like the kingdom of God on earth. We'll be saying yes to the joy that comes from being closer to God. We'll be saying yes to making cookies and giving them to other people, and the joy that comes with that gift. We'll be saying yes to lighting a candle that represents our desire to be the light of the world to other people. We'll be saying yes to living the way of Jesus that offers a new idea for how to look at the world. And we'll be saying yes to everything that Christmas was then and still can be today. Perhaps this Christmas, when we're not surrounded by all the usual hullabaloo and fol-de-rol and scheduling and multitude of family members gathering and eating till we're busting and opening presents and making a mess, perhaps this year we can really think about what Christmas means for us and to what we are saying yes. Because when we say yes to Christmas, it's no longer saying yes to what people long ago did. It's saying yes to what God is asking us to do today. Amen.